The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show, and we are the She Squatchers. I'm Jen
And
Cruz,
we're still dancing.
and we've got Jenna Grover. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, hi. Sorry, I couldn't help but go in. I love this song. I'm addicted.
All right. And we've got Tammy Tricle.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. Look at this change. This is such a difference in energy. Jenna's like, golden retriever.
I am. Tammy actually started that. Every time I got out of her car, she'd stop the car and I'd be like, open the door. And she wouldn't unlock it. And so I had to sit there and wait. And she said, I'm not unlocking it. And so finally by the end, at least I learned to not jump out the car. But thank you, Tammy.
It was barely in park, still running. And she was like, seatbelt off, out the door. And I'm like,
things to do. Things to do.
You still can't go anywhere without me. I've got the keys to the car.
I know, but at the time it just felt right.
She was fun. It was me too. So, hello to everybody in the chat room, and hello out there in the world. I'm going to start the show off by saying hello, and we are trying something different again. It's just us. We're not having a guest, and we're psychic mediums. We could talk about anything you would like us to talk about. So we're taking suggestions in the chat room and also on the YouTube comment section. Please let us know anything that you'd like us to cover for a potential. I'm sorry, I'm tongue twisted. A potential future show. Thank you. All right, untwist it. All right, there we are. So tonight we're going to be continuing to talk about our own Bigfoot encounters that we've had and experienced, as people have requested to hear directly from us what our own experiences have been. And so we plan to share some more of those because we've been going at this since 2015. We can't possibly share them in just 1 hour. Plus we get a little silly on the side. So
you gotta have fun.
Yes.
If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it.
That's right. That's right. So, again, we're just going to ask you to put your requests in the comments or in the chat, and we'll consider those for a future show as well. We've got some things coming up soon. We're going to be going on expedition in the middle of September, so we won't be having any new shows for a little bit after that because we'll be in the field where there probably isn't going to be any service to do that. So you'll have to stick with us and see what happens when we're gone. So when we get back, we'll let you know. We're going to be actually in the state of Michigan, and there is going to be like a meet and greet event going on in Irons, Michigan. And so you could check that out on our Facebook page and get all the details about that. If you're in the state of Michigan and you'd like to come out and see us, we would love that. So please do so. Anyway, so back to our own encounters. What was your favorite one, Tammy?
You know my favorite one. It was my first one, actually, and my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell it to everybody like nobody has heard the story before, so they can get all the details. Okay. Well, like I said, it was my first encounter with Bigfoot, and it was my first show, was it not? The first event that I went on? Maybe. Anyway, so we were out with Matthew Delph of Micro, and we were at an event. Was that in Georgia? Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had this event, and we met with Matthew, and he was taking people out on this day hike. And so Jen wasn't feeling well, so we told Jen she couldn't go because, she shouldn't be climbing mountains when she can't breathe. But Jen and I went, and we went with him and a group of people that were interested in going, and Jen and I sent Jen the coordinates while we were there so that she could see and remote view the area while we were out there. And we walked down his trails and he showed us where he had found hair and things like that. And I had wandered off the trail a little bit and found this really cool X, which I took a picture of, which I should have probably sent to you so we could have shared that. But anyway, we decided that it definitely warranted coming back that evening. And so when we got back and we were all excited and we were telling Jen all about it and everything, she had been remote viewing and sending and marking coordinates and stuff. So we all decided to go out to dinner together. And Jen shared the place with us where she was seeing things, and we were all looking at it and we were all seeing it. And we're like, yes, we definitely want to go. So after we ate, Matthew and us girls went up without anybody else. And at the top of this mountain, there is no lights. There's no electricity up there. It's at the very top of this mountain and a very windy road, and it was in Tennessee. And luckily, we had internet access at the top, and Jen was looking at the remote view, and she's like, "Is there anything here right now? Is there any Bigfoot here right now?" And she's like, "Oh, there's one like 30 feet over that way. There's one over there." So I grab Jenna's FLIR, which was my first time using a FLIR. I got it on anyway, and I'm looking through it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. And there, like up against this tree, there was what I'm calling Bigfoot, and he had his arm stretched up like this. And you'll have to watch the show for people listening because you can't see, but his arm up above his head, and you could see long hairs hanging down. And I had the FLIR on black hot, which makes anything that's warm black, and hair is white. And he was white, completely white. And so I'm sitting there looking at him like, oh my gosh, there he is. And I'm trying to go through the buttons and trying to figure out how to record the thing, and I'm not getting it. And they're getting out of the car, and I'm like, Jenna, how do I make it record? How do I make it record? You know, and they're getting ready. I'm not throwing you under the bus, Jenna.
I didn't know how to make it record. It was dark. I didn't know.
It was dark. I couldn't see, and it was my first time using it, and I couldn't get it to record. So Jenna comes over, and she pushes the record, and I didn't get it with his arm up and the hair hanging down, but we did get 13 minutes of footage of Bigfoot working on something. It looked like he was like skinning an animal or working with the animal. Whatever he had in his hand was warm. And he was like using in front of him like a table. Oh, what was that? Oh, you're doing the screen sharing. I was like, yeah. Where'd you go? It looks like he was like using in front of him like a table, and I guess Matthew went back a couple days later and said there was a ledge there, and he was probably standing behind it and using it as a table. But 13 minutes of footage that we got, and he knew that we were there. We were certainly not quiet at all, and we just never thought to get any closer, and he did not run away. And he just let us record him. And actually, we were the ones who stopped recording and were like, okay, we have enough. 13 minutes is enough. You know, and Jen didn't post all of it because she walked in front of the camera and she didn't like how she looked with the black skin and the white hair. So she cut it short.
And Tammy, didn't Matthew say when he went back, it was like 6 or 7 feet of a drop off on that ledge?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but you might be right.
Yeah, I think he said, because that's what like freaked me out, because I was like, my gosh, that means he was standing. He wasn't sitting.
To me, when I first looked, it looked like he was sitting down and he was just, you know, stretching. He got his arm up and, you know, maybe scratching his head a little. And, you know, then he's like, all right, I guess I should, you know, I see that they're going to record me and they're going to continue to record me. And I'd really like to skin this animal so I can eat it or whatever, you know, whatever he was doing with it. He was working with an animal. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And what was really ironic to me was that at the same time that this came out was when that Gray's Harbor video came out, and it was almost like the same thing. And it was like they had gotten together and had a meeting, or like, hey, why don't we let a couple groups record us so that everybody can see that it's not just a, you know, a squatch blob or whatever, a blob squatch.
Perfect.
But yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that it's important to say that a FLIR is a thermal imaging camera. It's not like a camera. So
It's
we're
not
actually
a night vision camera, so it's
right.
gonna be grainy. It's not gonna be clear because it's a FLIR.
Right. Thermal energy imaging. So it's going off of heat signatures. And so what we're seeing in the video, we're looking at something that's white, and it appears to have a conal shaped head and long arms that is working with something in front of it that is more hot than itself, or without fur or hair, because hair is showing up as white. And so whatever it's working with is darker in color. And so on this particular thermal imaging setting, black hot, skin and uncovered areas are going to show up as gray or black, and hair shows up as just white. And it's interesting when actually we point the camera at one of us, we can see that our hair and even our eyelashes are stark white.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite interesting. So of course, this video is on our YouTube channel. We have two different versions of it. We have the original uncut version, or I should say the original just plain version.
Unedited, yeah.
Unedited. And then somebody had taken the video and edited it, giving two different color contrasts on it so that you could see it more clearly. And so that's the one that we really like to look at, because you can see it more clearly and more defined when they put that there. So all they did was change the coloring on it to make it more defined, as far as I understand. So, and the two boxes are on the same frame of vision, so you can see the original and the two different versions of it. So yeah, in some of it it actually almost looks like the face of it looks up, and you can see a little bit darker area where the fur isn't white. I've noticed that a little bit, and of course it's grainy. It is a thermal imaging image, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff. We were very excited by this.
Very good
And
stuff.
one of the things that I think was very interesting, and we didn't even talk about it until later, is I didn't feel any need to get closer to it.
None of us did.
Of course. There we go.
Yeah, none of us did. We were all there. All four of us were there. And not one of us said, hey, let's go closer, or let's, anything other than us just standing there being like, wow.
Exactly.
Jenna, you're muted.
Jenna is still muted. I just unmuted myself. I was just, I can't remember. Okay, it's over.
You don't need to mute yourself because it's just us.
Yeah, but I go like this, and then, oh, really? You're so sweet. Thank you, because it's going to happen again.
I know.
Thank you. I love you, Tammy. Thank you. I can't help it. It just happens.
Okay, what about you guys? What's your favorites?
Actually, that one is kind of my favorite. I mean, that one we've had the greatest footage. We had a great, everything was great about it. I mean, the weather was great. It was cold. It wasn't super windy or anything. So that was nice. Or was it windy that day?
It was very cold.
We were in the woods.
Super cold.
Yeah, it was super cold.
It was 28 degrees, I specifically recall. I was shocked.
Like the same temperature that you and I camped out in, Jenna, in a tent.
And I was by the open window.
Yes, all night.
That sucked. But thank you so much for taking care of me. I really do appreciate it. It's sweet.
Absolutely.
You guys had an open window?
Yeah, the bottom vent on the tent that's at the bottom?
Again.
On the other side, it was open all night.
Yeah.
And it was right by it.
Why do you think I bought beds? Sick. Oh, I know. I'm so lucky. I'm so healthy.
That's hilarious, because when Jenna and I went tenting in the middle of November in South Dakota, and there was snow on the ground, she ended up on the side of the tent where it came undone or something, and it was flat.
Open. It was completely open. They forgot to shut them. And I again froze. But I hear that when we have goose pimples, we're losing or using calories. So I'm like, okay, that was 2 times that I probably lost a pound. Didn't have to do anything but shiver.
I love how you always find the silver lining in every situation.
I've got to.
Well, I actually was like, Jenna, are you okay over there? Jenna, do you want to come over here? And she just didn't reply to me at all.
I was so cold I couldn't move my mouth. My lips were frozen. It was like,
I'm like, my cot is big. You can come over.
my eyes were swollen like I'd been crying for days.
Oh my goodness.
They were so bad. Oh yeah, it was
Your
so
tear
bad.
ducts are freezing.
Yeah, and then I got up and I was like, and Jen said, Jenna, I told you to come over here. And I was like, oh, you have no idea. It was one of those I can't move things again. I was frozen solid.
Oh my goodness.
Could have broken in
I'm
half.
surprised that you still want to go camping after all that.
You know what? I love getting into the earth. The earth is such a beautiful place. And there's no Wi-Fi out there, and that's kind of something I like. So
I don't like the no Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah. Jen really is destroyed by the no Wi-Fi thing. But you talk to a lot of people though, Jen.
Yeah, but I also use it to like look up locations and navigate and mark GPS coordinates. So I mean,
it's hard to use your Google Maps without internet.
Yes.
So that's why I love my Wi-Fi. I'm hoping that
what
we
about
have.
You, Jen? What was your favorite experience?
I think it's hard to choose just one. Because I probably would have been the one I shared last week about seeing Bigfoot down the power line corridor.
That's what I was just thinking.
Because I did get a really good look at it for a long time, out in the open in the daylight. But then also when we were also at Randy's, when I just felt compelled to look down that nature trail all of a sudden, and I saw one staring back at me, and it looked shocked and like jumped back and down. And then the tree started whipping. So that was really cool. And at least I wasn't the only one to see the trees whipping. There was evidence that there had been something there.
Right.
It wasn't just me. So a bunch of people saw the trees whipping after it jumped back. And I was the only one that actually saw what caused that motion. But yeah, so those are probably my favorites because I actually had eyes on a Bigfoot in the daylight. But if I had to choose an additional one, I'm going to say one of my favorites is when it was Jenna and I were up on my reservation and I had remote viewed, and this was new to Jenna. She hadn't really been exposed to remote viewing before. And I had located an area I asked to see if there was Bigfoot here or if there was any Bigfoot evidence here that we could collect or find. And what I saw was this huge area light up golden on the map. So I marked it on my GPS. And then I had also seen this giant male Bigfoot face that looked very aggressive, like 200 feet from there. And right between the two places evenly was this, what looked like a little trail or a road. I wasn't sure. It wasn't a marked road at all. So I wasn't sure if we could drive on it or not. So when we got out there, we could find out. And thankfully up there, I do still have cell service. So here I have my Google Maps open and we're the little blue dot traveling down the trail. We were able to drive on it, although it did scratch up my car considerably. Considerably. We attempted to drive on it this last summer and it was a no-go. Definitely a no-go. But
yeah, I got stuck. I had to move trees and good times.
Yeah. But those trails they're not minimum maintenance roads even. They are homemade trails through the forest that the local natives had made to go back and access those areas and get down trees for firewood or access the trees for sugar bush. Collecting the maple syrup water from the trees and things like that. So, they're not really, made for your regular vehicles to be driving down. So anyway,
yes,
we get out there and I'm telling Jenna that we're going to get to this spot and I'm watching us on this blue dot on the map traveling down this trail. And I can see the spots where I've marked where to the right would be that area where I saw the aggressive male Bigfoot that I didn't want to go see. And to the left, I was seeing this huge area lighting up that it was filled with Bigfoot evidence that we could discover. And I didn't ask any further questions about it, just because it was such a large area. Anyway, so I was telling Jenna that this is going to happen, and she's like, yeah. And and it wasn't until we actually got there and stopped the car, and Nikki was driving that day because I was trying to have my awareness fully open. So she was driving. And I said, okay, stop the car. And I said, okay, here, if we get out to the left, that's where that Bigfoot evidence within 100 feet, we're going to find that there. And if we go out to the left or to the right, about 100 feet, that's where that aggressive male Bigfoot was that I had seen. That would look like his territory. And so we should really go left. Well, my whole motto here is to find areas remotely, remote viewing, and then go there, get out and like zoom in before anybody knows what's happening. We're out of the car and in there. No warning. Here we are. Ta-da. Well, I had my stuff ready and I'm ready to go, and Jenna wasn't ready. And Nikki wasn't feeling well.
Nikki was sick and I was trying to pamper her. That's all I have to say.
Do you want to use my Netflix? She's like,
I can. Yeah, I was making sure she was okay. I'm a little bit of a pamperer.
So while I was waiting for Jenna, I got, I'm standing outside of the car and I'm looking to the right towards where that aggressive male area was that I had seen. And, when I was standing there, I literally heard stuff coming, like potentially rocks being thrown. And just then Nikki says, oh, I think I see something back there. And I was like, what? Where? And she's looking off to the left where that evidence was that I had said. And so I was like, duh, stop looking for the aggressive male, go over there. And so I went over to the other side and I'm like, come on, Jenna. And I looked into the forest there and I'm seeing large, big things moving. And it's too far for me to see exactly what, because there's too many trees and whatever, but I'm seeing movement back there. And I'm like, come on, Jenna, let's go. Come on, Jenna, let's go. And I start walking. Now I know that my adrenaline was probably rushing. And to me, it was taking forever. Forever. But it was probably just going in slow motion because I was walking towards something that I was scared of.
And you have to understand, Jen at this point is not nicey Jen. She's like, Jenna, come on, and I was like, oh, I'd never really seen her be so rude. And I was like, and she was just crazy. So you had to put that in there, Jen.
It was true though. I was like, Jenna, come on. Because I was walking towards it by myself.
Yes.
And I really didn't want to do that. So, I mean, I can walk towards scary things. This was our first time, like, potentially walking up to a Bigfoot. And I was like, I don't do that by myself. And Jenna's like, do you want to use my Netflix? And I was like, oh.
I'll never hear the end of that damn Netflix.
She does.
I know.
Exactly. I love taking care of people.
Yes, but I could have been hauled off by Bigfoot in that very moment.
Wait, I was so close. I would have come up with some kind of plan.
She would have gone.
Yes, we would have been. You would have been so famous, Jen. I would have made you so famous.
You're so famous.
She got hauled off. Never. Everybody said it was a bear. That's what they say. When you see a Bigfoot, they always say, "Oh, it must have been a bear."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh.
Anyway, so we start walking back there, and this is funny because I was specifically saying repeatedly, "This is what we're going to find back there. This is how far away it is off the trail." And literally, we were on someone else's podcast, and I wish I could remember which one because we've done so many and we've told the story so many times. But on one of them, Jenna literally said, "It was like Jen knew there was going to be something there. She was walking right to it."
Yeah, we walked right to it. It was almost like she knew where to go. Yeah, but at the time I didn't believe in this, I really didn't even at the time believe in Bigfoot at the time. But no, I just, it shocked me that it was real. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And it really did feel like that because we walk in, what, 20 feet, we see a tower, and 50 feet, didn't we see the...
We started seeing it within, pretty close of walking in, but it was, I think, like 75 feet in where the tower actually was. Yeah.
Oh, it just didn't seem like it was so far in.
Yeah. 50 to 75 feet. It was in a ways, and obstructed by trees, so you weren't getting a clear view of it from the trail. So the closer we got, the more clear it became, and it was quite an intense moment because what we call the tower was literally trees that were pulled out of the ground and teepeed together. And then there was foliage interweaved in between them, creating levels. And we're talking, this is 2-3 stories high. And at the bottom of it, at least 5 feet up is where the first level began. And underneath that was complete darkness. It was open in there, and complete darkness. We couldn't see into it. And as we approached, the bushes or the partially grown trees that were in front of it shook 3 separate times. Something moved 3 separate times from within that black area, and we're walking up to it. And I was like, I didn't know if Jenna realized it, and I don't know why I wasn't just speaking my English words, because does Bigfoot even know English? We didn't know. But I'm like, Jenna, do you see what I'm seeing right there? And I wasn't sure if she was or not. Jenna, were you putting that together? The dark area? You're on mute.
Oh, I'm trying to be quiet for you guys. No, it wasn't until we were at an event and we had was it an FBI agent who just happened to come by, and you said he was interested in what we did. And you told him, come over, I'll show you a video. And he said, oh my gosh, I saw that. He said, I saw it move. And I was like, he's an FBI agent. It's not my eyes. So yeah, that's when I really felt really good about it. When someone who's trained like that sees it. Yeah. And do you remember this? We played it back like 3 times.
He was actually helping us with the video because something was going on with my program that it wouldn't, like, I was trying to get the video to loop and keep playing on the screen so that people could walk by and see it. And I couldn't get it to keep looping. And so he was trying to help me with the settings. And then he noticed that when he was working on it, it totally freaked him out. And he had to watch it over and over and over again. He's like, 1, 2, 3, and he'd rewind it 1, 2, 3. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But in the moment when I was there, I saw the movement. I felt like there was something in the dark area. And so we're trying to walk past it. So this tower, when we say the tower, I'm going to use a reference. If you go to Walmart and you know how wide their end caps are, their aisles, it was as wide as that. Okay. And so we're talking something pretty wide. And then we're moving. There's all these sticks that are stabbed into the ground, just large, long, 8-foot long sticks that are just stabbed into the ground. And we're moving them, trying to get past it to the other side, to get around to the side of it. And it wasn't until later when we're looking at the video that I'm like, look at how those sticks are like crisscrossed into the ground. It looks like it's like a homemade fence. Oh my gosh, it was a fence.
There was a lot we didn't see until we watched the video. I mean, we didn't put 2 and 2 together. We didn't see it. It was like camouflaged right in front of our eyes.
Yes. And so that was quite interesting. And so I just really felt cautious about getting close to that dark area where the bushes had moved and then you couldn't see into it. And so I had kept my eyes on that. Jenna was moving sticks to get around to the side. And then when we got around to the side of it, we could see the side of the structure, but like behind the tower, there was another structure that was attached to it that was more like a den. And it was rectangular in shape. It was very long. It was as wide as the tower. And it was very long. And it had walls and a roof. And literally, these were trees that had been stacked on top of each other. And then the branches had been weaved together very tightly. And at one point, I grabbed a hold of one of these walls and shook it, and it wouldn't come loose at all.
Yeah, it was sturdy. It was not going to fall apart. It was sturdy.
Yes. And if that, we have to go to our commercial break. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with more of that story.
I hear it in my head. Bump. Every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, it's an issue.
Well, we're not on the air right now. So if you need to sing or make a sound.
Sometimes this thing, it was following me.
It followed you when you stood up and went down too.
Oh, no one saw my.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm sure you were fine. But
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk about that after.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, Jenna, we have to figure out what day you're coming home so we can leave.
I know. It's coming up so quick.
Are you driving or flying?
I'm driving. I'm going to try to do another one day trip, 24-hour trip.
I hope you'll rest before it's time to go.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'll be able to rest someday. No, I'm kidding.
I used to tell Dale, oh, you can sleep when you're dead.
Oh, shoot.
I know.
That sucks.
Sorry.
He would be laughing his butt off if he heard
Oh,
you
yes.
say that.
Oh, yes, he is.
Then he'd give you the finger.
Yeah, I drove him crazy when we first met.
Oh.
We are discussing Tammy's late husband, Dale. We love Dale.
Did it move again?
Yes, every time you move.
Dang it.
That's what you bought, Jenna. You wanted one that would follow you.
You can turn it. No. You can turn it off, though.
No.
I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell the story.
I'm putting myself on mute.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Hey, it's the Journey Radio Show, and we're the She Squatchers. Won't you check us out online at shesquatchers.com, and you can click on our events page to see what's happening, where we're going to be at. We're going to be at ValleyCon in October in Fargo, North Dakota. Come out and see us. We're also going to be in Irons, Michigan in September, and it's a one-day meet and greet, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of other people there. Many of the group from Searching for Sasquatch video series.
Yeah, not the whole group.
No, a bunch of us will be there, but not everybody, but a bunch of us will be there. So please come out and see us there if you can. That would be a great time. I'm sure that they're putting on a whole day of events for that. So I know the schedule will come out eventually, but it's not a detailed schedule yet, but there will be one. It's a completely free event, which means come out wherever you are. And we'll see you there. So we want to hear everybody's Bigfoot and Dogman encounters that are happening in Michigan while we're still there to do some filming. Well, we will be filming in the general area, in that area of Michigan in September. So
I want to have a Dogman encounter.
Do you really?
I do. I want to see all the things, all of them.
Yeah.
The skinny boys, all of them. I want to see all of them.
The Dogman just seems like it's so harsh, but at the same time,
everybody says that Bigfoot is aggressive too, but they're not towards us.
If it was in a controlled situation, I would totally.
Like a zoo?
What? Well, I know.
Yes, Dogman Zoo, Bigfoot, we got it all. All right, yeah, I guess that doesn't make sense. There is no control.
They better not
don't have any control.
Zoo, or I'm coming for you.
Right. And Tammy's serious. She will.
Have
Be
you
very
met
careful. Yes. She says what she's going to do too. So, and she does it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that part of you.
Thank you. I like that part of me too.
Aw. Yeah. Jen, I love you just the way you are too. I don't want to be a one-sided friend.
I can't remember where we left off in our story that I said we'd pick up at. Tammy, help.
Where were we at? Which one were we talking about?
Oh no!
you know what I wanted to say, because when we were on break, Jenna was doing her movement with her automatic camera that follows her, and I just want to say one funny story about that. When we were recording, when we were recording for the music video, which is Bigfoot Rock and Roar, which you can find on our YouTube channel, we did some in the snow. So I had my camera up on a tripod, and I was going to be filming, and Jenna put her laptop down with her brand new camera that tracks her and follows her, right? Which is she's using right now. And she put that down, and so she had that recording at the same time I was recording her. Thankfully, mine worked very good. I mean, we got some really good footage for the music video.
Well,
but she looked at the stuff that her
wait, let me just explain something. You have to understand that I was trying to be a professional, and I had my computer set up, and I pointed it where I thought was going to be the right area. And when I turned it on, you know, I would do stuff, and then I'd quick go down on I'd do a squat, and I'd push, you know, stop. So it wasn't it was just like a long thing. So I had a bunch of these videos where I'd go, and pretty soon I am so sore. I can barely reach down anymore, but I thought, we have to see it. I was so excited. I go to turn it on. I push play.
It was following her crotch the whole time.
I was so sad. I guess it was a star that day. Oh, it was so bad.
For your OnlyFans page.
Yes, the non-existent. Well, maybe. I don't want to talk about it.
Show that camera too. She was down on her doing.
I was going, yeah.
He was locked in her.
I was doing this, you know. Oh man, it just sucked.
We were talking about it on break and just had to share. Okay, back to the story.
Yeah, back to the story in the woods with
the power, the den-like structure behind it. It was it was rectangular in shape. The trees were literally stacked on top of each other and woven together very tightly. There was no nails. There were no screws. There were nothing tying it together. Intricately built, and it was sturdy. It was amazing. Anyway, so there was a doorway, but there wasn't a door. There happened to be a longer, it was several feet long, diagonal piece of tree that came down in front of it. It was just a small, you know, very small tree, but it was like diagonally across the doorway. And so Jenna like easily picked it up and moved it. And she's like, should I go in? Because there was a space inside of this that was open. And so I'm like, do you want to go in? And, you know, I peeked in there. You know, we both peeked in. It was clear in there, but this is attached to the part that had the dark area that I couldn't see into. But I'm like, do you want to go there? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
I was all about it. Let's see.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing that we talked about, Jen and I talked about, that there wasn't any smell. And I think we had started asking at that point other Bigfooters if there was a smell, and we did kind of talk about different things that it could be too. But sorry, go on. Don't mean to interrupt all the time.
What she means by that is there's a theory out there about not all Bigfoot give off a bad smell, and that potentially that smell that some people do have the encounter with could actually be something that they put off on purpose to scare people away, like a skunk puts off a scent to scare others away. So I mean, that's a theory in the Bigfoot community, that's a potential thing, because we've never really smelt anything really bad, except that one time in Michigan where people in the group that we were on expedition with did have a smell, but it was temporary and then it was gone. So
I smelled like a fresh smell. It smelled like a river with, you know, like a little bit of like fish, like somebody had been fishing, but it didn't stink. It wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, you just reminded me of the handprint.
Yeah, that was a fishy smell.
That was.
Yeah. So we'll have to share that after this story if there's time, and if not, we'll do it another show. So back to the structure. So Jenna decides she's going to crawl inside. she's wearing on her head a GoPro camera that's supposedly taking video, and she's got a really expensive camera that she's holding and she's taking nice pictures with. And I'm filming everything that's going on, and Jenna's giving us the tour of this whole thing. And she gets inside, and it was pretty incredible because inside, tell us about the ground.
Oh, when I got in there, there was no sticks. The ground was actually very worked through. I mean, it felt like somewhat of a bed. I mean, it was soft. And I was expecting, when you're on the ground like that, you're laying on sticks, rocks, the whole works. This was not. This was like worked up, and it was so long too. I remember I was sitting on my knees, and just so people could see how actually tall it actually was. And as far as being long, oh my goodness, I was laying down with my arms way above my head. My feet were pointed, and it was still taller than that. And I'm 5'5", and then you think about arms and pointed toes, and you're looking at quite a big structure. So, and I loved that. The part that just made me so excited was when I saw the actual roof of it, because you were saying how it was intricately weaved, and it was. I mean, it would potentially stop anything from falling in there. You might get a little rain in there, but it's great. It was a shelter.
Yeah.
And there was no bugs there either. Nothing in there.
Yeah, there was nothing. But outside of it, there were rocks and sticks and everything on the ground. But inside, it was completely bare of that, and it felt soft like a mattress. When I mentioned this to Matt, my neighbor from my old office building, he worked with the Army, and he did lots of survival things. And he said, Jen, in Minnesota, if you are going to sleep directly on the ground, you have to work up the soil up so many inches into it in the later parts of the year, or you're going to freeze to death, because the ground will literally pull the warmth out of your body, and you'll get hypothermia. And I didn't know that. And so literally this ground had been worked up. That's why it felt so different than the ground outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened to this great footage, guys?
Tammy.
Oh.
Tell everybody the story.
Tell everybody the story. So I'm going to tell you that it was a very hot day of 96 in Minnesota. That's very hot and humid for us northern girls. And we were in an area where there was what we call wild parsnip, which grows at least sometimes 5 feet tall. And we had to walk through some of that. So I told Jenna, you have to wear clothes from head to toe. She was even wearing gloves, because we actually walked through some wild parsnip. And if you let that touch your skin, it will burn you and scar you. It is bad stuff. So, she's wearing cuddle duds and, lots of other layers, and
the thinnest kind of cuddle duds.
Yeah, the see-through kind.
We didn't know. I did not know that at the time.
Yeah, but she had all these different, like a vest, and she had all this other clothes on top of the cuddle duds. And throughout the day of being hot, she started tearing those other layers of clothing off, leaving just the cuddle duds. And she had recently discovered what females across the country refer to as a sticky bra, which is literally a bra that sticks on you like a sticker.
I love them.
She loves them, but you're no longer allowed to wear them when we're in the field. Why, Jenna?
Well, because my sticky bra got swat off, and that sweated or swat. I don't know if I'm like making up a new word, but I sweated it off. I swatted off. Off they came, and I pulled it off. And when we took these lovely, fabulous, and great videos and pictures, you can see my tots. You can see right through my shirt. You can see everything. You can see my stomach. You can see every roll, lump. And I said, Jen, you can. She was like, what? And I said, you could see them. And she goes, what? I think you can't really notice. I said, Jen, if this was you, you would so not be sharing this. And she was like, okay. And that's. Oh.
In my defense, every time we watched the video, I tried really hard to look at Jenna, but I was so fascinated by the rest of the video that I just couldn't even look at her. I was looking at all the stuff.
And all I could see was them. The partially
So
hidden.
great, Jenna, look. And she's like,
Oh.
no.
Yeah, and we were going to an event, you know, so we needed the footage, and yeah, still to this day we're looking for somebody that can do it, that can fix that video.
Jenna's titter tots.
My titter tots, yes. Yes. So everybody knows how that is what happened. That's why I don't wear those sticky bras out on expedition. But I have one on right now.
She actually brought some on an expedition, and I about had a fit.
But I told her, I said, guess what? I said, I've actually got another bra to hold them on, but I love the lift. They're awesome. Go get some today.
Okay.
I love them.
Ladies and gentlemen, go get some.
I really did. I tried to make my mom put one on, and she was like, no, Jenna, no. And I was like, please. And she wouldn't, but I just thought I'd say that for some reason.
I've seen you take those off. It looks painful.
You know, depending, it can be a little rough unless you do the right removal process.
Would it work to remove them in the shower? Would that work better?
Oh, no, you just
can. Could you?
No, you can use, oh, you guys, I'm sorry. We're not going to sit and talk about sticky bras.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Enough about the titter tots.
Oh.
So some of the footage was savable and is on our YouTube channel. And I renamed the location MN-3. So if you're looking for those specific videos, they are MN-3 location. And you can see some of those. But yeah, that was just crazy. And around that whole area, like there were literally sticks, large, tall, 8-10 foot tall sticks that are like an inch or 2-3 inches in diameter that are shoved into the ground in bunches, so that when you're so many feet away from this, you don't even see it. It's obscured. It obscured the view of it. And so you had to be right up on it to really see what you're looking at. And at one point I turned around and I was looking at the ground. It looked like something had been digging in the ground, and I was having a closer look at it. And I turned around and Jenna is just gone. Can't see her. She has just disappeared, and I freaked. I'm like, Jenna, where are you?
Now I can see Jen at this point. I can see Jen so clearly. And yeah, when she started calling my name, I was like, what? Because I had been wearing the GoPro at this point, which she could only see the red light blinking on. And at that point, I didn't realize she couldn't see me at all. In fact, there's a video that we have that you can see the light, and you really can't see me.
Mm-hmm. That was when I had gone further away. So when she had disappeared, she had actually stepped behind the whole structure, and she was just standing there, and I guess she could see me clear as day, and I couldn't see her at all. And she had to flash on her camera, on the big flash, like taking a picture flash, so that I could even see her. And so that was weird. That was very weird. And then I had wanted to get farther away from the structure and try to get all of it into a picture because I couldn't do it so close up. And so I had decided to walk. I said, Jenna, you stand right there next to it. You stand there. And she was going to be my measurement of her 5'5"ness, standing there in all of her glory. And
a good stretch.
There you go. Yep. And so I start walking away from it, and all of a sudden I heard thump. And so I stopped, and then I heard thump. And I was like, somebody throwing rocks at me? You know? And thump. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, don't want me walking that way. Okay. How about I walk over this way? And so I just like started walking another direction, and that seemed to be okay. And so I just kept going, and then I got far where I wanted to be, far enough away, and I started taking video and picture of the whole area with Jenna standing there, and all you could see of her was this red light that was flashing on her forehead from her GoPro camera, which, by the way, the GoPro camera functioned and only gave us
and they malfunctioned when I was in that structure. I was so excited. I thought we were going to get these great videos, and instead it took a bunch of fuzzy pictures. You guys, I was in the structure, and I had a GoPro that was supposed to be taking video. Why?
And the
Oh, I'm
camera
sorry.
that she was using also was taking fuzzy pictures. So everything
Yeah.
she had on her malfunctioned. My stuff
When I was in the structure.
yeah, weird.
Yeah. Well, is that the same time when all of our stuff went?
It was the same
Completely.
location when everything went
Okay.
in. It was a different time when we went back.
Okay.
So we'll have to probably tell that story another time. But so here we are. We're separated from quite a big distance at this point because I'm far away so I can get the whole thing in there. And all of a sudden, it's getting darker. The sun is starting to go down. And I am all of a sudden feeling scared and realizing the rocks that were thrown at me were like between Jenna and I. And so I was like, we need to go. And I just had this rush of panic feeling, we need to go right now. And so I knew that I was parallel to the trail that we came in on. And Jenna was also parallel to that. So I was like, Jenna, just beeline it for the trail. And I'm going to beeline it for the trail from here. And as I was doing that, as I was making my way to the trail, I am pulling all these sticks out of the ground and moving things to get out of my way. And I realized this is what we had over there. This was like a huge fenced area with these sticks that were shoved into the ground crisscrossed. And animals will take the path of least resistance. And that was definitely not it. That was definitely lots of resistance. And so the more I saw that, and the more I felt this panic, like we got to get out of here. And so we got back to the trail separately, and we jumped in the car. And then it was this rush of adrenaline that was just overwhelming for me. I was so excited to see all the footage that we got, and couldn't wait to see more, and felt safe in my car. But yeah, that was probably one of my most fun times. And we've gone back to that place again, and that we're gonna have to tell that story because it's kind of a longer story too. We'll have to tell that on a different show. But it was a fascinating time. So that was probably one of my favorites. And Jenna, of course, was still like, oh, I don't know if Bigfoot's real.
Hey, you know what? It took a lot. It took a lot.
She was very skeptical for a while, and it was very annoying. But
yeah, Jen would be like, Jenna, don't you see the evidence we have? But in my mind, it didn't click, and it needed to click.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I just want to say that we were on my reservation when that happened, and where we found that. It was deep on the reservation back there. And when I talked to the elders from the reservation about it and showed them the footage of the things that we found that I could show them, the stuff that I could show them, they felt that was made by Bigfoot. And part of the reason was that you could see that area from the drivable trail, and they hunt for moving vehicles up there. And no person would build something like that where you would potentially get shot for having a little fort. That just wouldn't, they just wouldn't do that. And if it had been made by the natives, they would have tied it with ribbons and, red string, it would have been made very differently. In addition to that, I've talked to the DNR from the reservation, and different DNR agents had told me that they do find those things on occasion, and they feel that Bigfoot is making those. So when they do see one, they just back away very slowly and stay away from it. So they just respect it and just leave it alone. One of the reasons that we started to look back there in that there's a very large forest back there. But somebody that I knew had reported to me that his grandchildren had been playing out in the woods back behind their house, which was in that general area. In general, I mean, within a mile. And these grandgirls, the grandkids, came back about 9 years old, and they were all excited about this cool fort that they had found in the forest. And they were all excited about it, and on and on and on. And they're like, wait a minute, what? What did you find? I want you to take me back there and show that to me. So he had the girls take him back. They walked back there, and what he described was 2 trees pulled out of the ground, teepeed together with the roots in the air. upside down. He said you walk underneath that and you just keep going off the path straight into the forest from there. And he says, and then you'll come to what he called a hogan looking structure. And I said, describe what that looks like. And he says it's kind of rectangular in shape, trees stacked on top of each other. They were weaved together but not tied. He said there was a doorway but no door. Sounding very much like what we found, but it wasn't, because in that one that the girls found, which he said they went inside of when they had first found it, inside of it, towards the back, there was a nice big hole in the ground that went down into a cave/den area underground. And they went in there. And so when the girls took him back there and he went in there and he looked down into this hole and knew that his grandkids had gone down in there, he was horrified. Like, he felt that Bigfoot had made this, but even if Bigfoot wasn't still using it, something else could have moved in there. And they went down in there. He was like, we could have lost our girls today. And so these are very traditional Native people who the stories that are told to the children are made, make them feel so very welcome and never alone in the forest. When you're alone in the forest, you're surrounded by all your relatives, the trees and the grass and the plants and the animals, and everything is your relative. So you never feel like you're in danger. And so all of a sudden he's telling the girls, never go back there again. If you ever see anything like this again, you stay far from it and you tell me right away. You never ever do. And all of a sudden it was never, ever, never. And so their teaching changed very quickly. And so I had asked for directions to that one because we wanted to see that one too. And it was quite hard because those trails back there, they're like, go this way, go that way, go this. And when he was giving me directions, he goes, you turn right there, and he pointed left. And I was like,
oh,
is
no.
it right or is it left? Remember that, Jenna? You turn right there, and he pointed left. And I was like, oh. So we tried to find it, and we just couldn't find it. And for the amount of time that we had up there, where in the daylight hours, we went to what I had remote viewed instead, because I knew that there was something there. Instead of wasting, because we wasted much of the day looking for that with the directions that just weren't. And he said, you can go to my house and pick up the girls and they can take you over there. And I'm like, those girls don't know me. I'm not going to go to your house and say, hey, come with me, I'm the stranger.
Yes. Come with me, I'll show you a puppy. No, but you know what? It would have been so amazing to be able to see that. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I don't know if I'd go in that one. Maybe point a flashlight down the hole just to
I'd
see.
go.
Tammy would go.
All right, if Tammy was with me, we'd rock it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't go down there, Jen. Would you?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't think you would.
Well, maybe after Tammy went down and said,
I checked it out first.
That's funny.
I'd be like, yeah, let's go.
I'm about the adventure. I just don't want to do that particular adventure alone.
Right.
But it would have been cool. It would have been so amazing.
Yeah, good times. And when you think about it, in that particular area, there are no caves. In the wintertime, the foliage drops away from the trees. It gets bitterly cold up there. It's on a peninsula surrounded by water, right? So if the Bigfoot creatures are there through the winter, and there is evidence that they are, that people are finding footprints, people are hearing them howl, and they've been spotted and followed by the police even. If they're there and they're not using fire, which we've never seen any evidence that they do use fire, then they're going to have to dig under the ground to stay warm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what they're doing there. We had been at an event where Bobo from Finding Bigfoot was, and we showed him the footage that we could show him, and he was so excited by it. He's like, I've never seen anything like that before. He would love to come and see it. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time right here. Good night.
Mwah. Good night, everybody.